so other people see me. Like, I don't call myself as Congolese, but I call myself as Ugandan. So, like, everybody will be like, I'm not Congolese. And, like, Uganda will be like, no, you were born there, so you're, like, Congolese. But at the same time, like, I like both of them, but I call myself as Ugandan.
Yeah. Yeah, and the idea that you have to choose.
Well, I choose Uganda because I don't know anything about Congo, you know? So,
Yeah. Interesting.
So you give up on being a Congolese?
No, I don't give up. It's just, I don't.
What does it
must
mean?
choose. So you have to say, I don't choose.
Yeah.
But I don't choose. I choose both.
Yeah, because also
You
it's
can try that.
it's also what does it mean, right? Because I think that's the thing too, and I mean, and Angel talked about that a bit as well. It's like, what does it mean to be Congolese? So for you, it's like you know what it means to come from Uganda. In my experience, that's what you know, but you still have to figure out what it means to be Congolese, right? And so at this point, I know Uganda. I'm Ugandan. Same thing too. Like I identify as Canadian, born and raised here, but other people would see me as Nigerian. But I'm not gonna like. I'll say it, but at the same time, I also just like I don't know what that means, right? So it's okay not to know.
I'm torn between an Afghan and a Canadian. Which one am I? I'm neither in either community. Not wanting to let go of one or the other. I want to be both. Clash of cultures, especially in the home, mom and dad versus me. And I think this speaks to just generally growing up. Generally, you come into yourself in the 20s, but I chose what I want to do with my culture and my religion in my 20s. So I'm going to be both, and I'm going to force the communities to like me.
Yeah.
I'm here, and I'm not going to stay.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting too, because it's
like it or not.
it's about acceptance, right? It's about acceptance because it's also can you be accepted in your own community? Can you be accepted in yourself? Can you accept yourself? And that's always hard. And I think that's a good point. Like a lot of the stuff that you guys are going through, it's like high school's bad enough, but then added to it like there's a war and the family and refugees and there's financial problems and there's racism and there's all these things and then there's being a girl and it's just
pressure of fulfilling your parents' dreams, you know, that you have to study, be a doctor or engineer or, you know, we did all this for you and you're expected to, you know.
Yes. How many of you feel that? How many of you feel there's a pressure because, and it goes back to our first go around guilt and around why, right? The idea that, based on Angel's story, the idea that people are, you know, you might be coming from a place where people are very poor, where people are dying because there's a conflict, where people don't have the opportunity to just sit at home on Facebook and listen to Justin Bieber. And there's a feeling of guilt that comes with that, and there's also a feeling of pressure. It's like, I better do something, right? How many of you feel that sometimes? Maybe not all the time, but sometimes it's like, I better, like, do something. And then how many of you have your parents saying, you better do something?
Do something about life.
Do something with your life. Because there's so much, you have an opportunity that other people don't. Yeah. How does that feel, though? Because, I mean, how many of you feel that you're not going to be able to do it?
I kind of give up.
Yeah. So, labeled. Racism, stereotypes.
Practicing the same right here.
Racism, labels. So labels is a big one. Stereotypes.
I wrote like becoming black, like losing the title of being like any other race, like what you call like Somali or Ethiopian.
Yeah, you're just black.
Yeah.
And that's official, right? Like if you who knows what the census is? Like the census is like how they record like how many different communities there are in Canada, and everyone has to record it. Like black is on there.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and it's really funny too because like other things are on there like so black. So for a lot of people like particularly your parents, a lot of them they don't put down black because they're just like. You know what I mean? They're just like, what does that mean? Whereas, yeah, here you're black, but you actually have other things you are. Yes?
It was about I don't really have long hair, but like when I'm like in a bus or like I don't know somewhere, look with my hair down, and they go, "Are you Haitian?" I'm like, so black people can have long hair now? Like I just get so confused. They be like, "Oh, I thought you're Haitian. You have long hair." I'm like, really?
Yeah, it's very interesting the ideas that both other people have about Africans or black people, and then also even what ideas we have about ourselves. Because, and that's there's a word for that actually. It's called internalizing. So sometimes all the bad things you hear about your country or about your people, it can get inside you. That you start maybe believing it about your own people and about yourself. So it becomes part of you. And that's a very unfortunate thing.
There was a loss of status in terms of, I went to a private school, I was really in a privileged space, and I wasn't here. I was nobody. I had to make friends from scratch, and I didn't know how. I couldn't relate to any of the youth, the teenagers at that time. And I was suddenly black. I was no longer Ethiopian. And that was very shocking. And it was also, politically back home, we had just split up. Ethiopia and Eritrea had just split up. So the ethnic community here had also split up. So I had to kind of find myself in that as well. Am I Eritrean? Am I Ethiopian? What does that mean? Am I now being disloyal to this place where I grew up? So there was all of that. But mostly, making friends was the hardest part, I think. I had an accent. I still have an accent. I didn't know how to relate to a lot of the peers. I did find somehow a space in the black community. And it wasn't, and at that time, Somalis were just coming into Ottawa. This was the early 90s. So, and I'm a Christian Ethiopian, so suddenly, there are people that look more like me, but I'm not really one of them. So, and the whole community was being shocked by this type of black people coming in.
I can refer to that in a way because when I moved here from Toronto, and Toronto has like a lot of Indians, like brown people, but yeah, since I was from Bangladesh, right? When I moved here, everybody just assumed I was Indian, and like I wouldn't get offended by that, obviously, but it just came on to me for like years and years, and it became offensive.
Yeah.
Because you kind of lose your title and you don't know what you are. You don't fit in anywhere.
Yeah.
And I was ashamed of where I was from for a really long time.
Because people didn't know about it, really?
Yeah, it's that, and people kind of make fun of it too. Like they'd look down upon like where I was from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you write?
Friends.
Friends. That's interesting. Okay.
Everybody wrote friends.
Friends. Okay, so you wrote friends?
Oh, finding friends.
Finding friends.
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 You're black and making friends.
History, sun, and unstable.
Sun. So the sun.
Yeah,
Like the beauty of the sun.
You can always be outside, wear whatever you want. And the history, Ethiopia is a very rich country with history, everything. Almost every day you're reminded, or somehow it's a historical place.
I wrote relatives, time, facilities, and weather.
So that's Pakistan.
Yeah.
So relatives is
Like-
family.
Yeah, like over here, if you have to go to someone's house, you have to call them. Like you have to get an appointment. Can I come? Are you free? And over there, you just bang. I'm here, no matter you like it or not. And that's fun. Over here, if you go, they're not at home usually. You have to go on weekends. You can't go on the usual days because they say we are busy and that. Everybody's so busy over here.
Okay. And what's about facilities, though? What do you mean?
Like over here, like if you come, like my dad's manager over there, but he's not over here. We have more facilities over there.
Okay.
I put warm, future, and home. So it's very warm there, but I'm not just saying the weather, but also the family, because your family is always there for you, and all the time you can go to them, they can help you, and you don't have to be alone all the time.
Where is the boundary between like I could know more about you and not like you feel like kind of difference.
That's a very good question. Because again, that's been my experience with where you're from. Because again, originally where you're from, as I said, people, what they really meant to ask me was, why are you black? Like I really knew that that's what they meant. Whereas after I started wearing hijab, people of color were asking me where I'm from, but it was more to establish a connection. They were curious, they wanted to know if we had something in common, they wanted to know if we knew people in common. So the intention was different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do we think there is ever a space where asking where you're from can be okay?
Like I get, where are you from? And Afghanistan, I thought you were Italian or Spanish. And that reaction, I think, is what we should stop doing of the, whoa, you're from Afghanistan, that's wonderful. Or you're from this, I expected to see this. Whereas I think the question of where you're from, I do it and I expect it because I live in a country that's defined by that rather than a melting pot.
But would you agree, though, that given what you're saying, that also means it has to be an exchange? So, for example, if I'm asking you where you're from, but I'm not thinking that I also should maybe explain where I'm from, that maybe is where it becomes a problem?
Or it should be something that I think it's something that maybe we should start asking. Like that's what I've done, right?
Yeah.
Where I've gotten that sort of. I started to go into that attitude of just because I look different, why are you asking me? And then so I've changed it where I'm like, oh, here's about me. Now where are you from? And that's where you get, if the person is 7 generations Canadian, I'm from Newfoundland and I used to be, and you get this whole enriched. And so it's almost surprising them, like, oh, you want to know about me too? That's cool. Even though I'm Canadian, or like not Canadian, but I'm from, I have ancestors from Canada. You want to know about my ancestors? That's really cool. So I think, yes, there should be an exchange, but maybe taking that on to, creating that, because I can dominate that conversation by talking about Afghanistan. Have you been there? Have you seen it? And then it becomes whereas after I finish, it's almost a turnaround now. Tell me about you.
Usually they don't even ask where you're from. They usually be like, "Oh, are you Chinese?" And I'll be like, "No." But like and then I tell them I'm from Vietnam. Well, like my parents, and then they're just really surprised. Yeah, and they're just like, "Oh, I didn't think you would be Vietnamese. I think like you're Chinese or like the other Asian like."
So they
Japanese
list different
stuff.
countries they thought you would be from.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we didn't think you were from Vietnam.
And they just assume. I don't know. It's really annoying. Honestly, like personally, I used to get offended because I was ashamed, kind of in a way, which is why I wouldn't want to answer that question. I really didn't like that question at all. Because they just want to know, and then after that, I felt like their whole view on me would change, and they think of me as like a lowlife because of where I'm from. And it's happened. It's actually true. And I don't know. Like I actually had an argument with this man before, in a hallway. This random man. He's like, "Are you from? Are you Spanish?" I was like, "No." And he's like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "I'm from Bangladesh." He's like, "No, you're not." I'm like, I am. And then he's like, no, you're not. You would be darker, and you wouldn't look this pretty. I was like, okay, that's nice, but that's mean at the same time. So I don't know. I just don't like that question at all.
For me, I don't mind answering that question because like something I've always gotten from like such a young age is like when people ask me where I'm from, they don't. When I ask them what do they think I was from or where do they think I was from, they'd be like, I don't know, and I'll be like, I'm from somewhere. Like you had no idea. Like, but for me, I feel like when I answer a stranger, I kind of educate them a little bit because I give them like a sort of like thought like you can't always think a certain way or a certain look will be like a certain race. So I feel like answering that question sort of like helps people like not get that mentality of always like guessing.
I don't know. Like before today, if anybody ever asked me that, I wouldn't have thought it was an insult or anything. But like I don't know, when I was younger, when people asked me where I was from, I'd be like, I'm from Somalia. Like, because like, I don't know, like I was proud of it. But like now with stereotypes about like Somali kids and like songs like Lil Wayne, he's making fun of Somalians and saying how we resort into cannibalism, and I don't know, now, yeah, he said a verse, it was pretty sexual. Anywho, so like now when people ask me, I don't dodge it, but I wouldn't want to answer it. Yeah.
It used to bother me when I was a teenager, I think. Because why do you assume? It was just like fighting racism. why I don't ask you that question. At this age, it doesn't bother me.
I don't have a problem with like if people ask me from where I am. I have a problem when they think like Pakistan is a country where always like people are dying. Like it's not always like that. It's like sometimes people are dying, I know, but they think like you can't even walk outside. Like it's not like that. And the second thing, they always consider me as an Arab, and I don't like that. Because they think Pakistanis are like dark and girls don't have education, and they're ignorant of education. They don't know how to. Like they think we are really backward, and I hate that.
So that's the thing, when you answer where you're from, then the assumptions...
Like the first day out of my school, everyone's like, oh, you can speak English, that's so like, we didn't know that Pakistanis can speak English. I was like, okay. From grade 1, I'm speaking English, I don't have any problem with that. And they were like so surprised, like, you guys can speak English. I was like, we have education, we have schools, we go to schools, we are just equal to you. It's just that we have different culture.
I never personally think about like the question how to feel. Like I just answer the question, where you're from Congo. So yeah, that's it. But what's just like kind of sad to me is like sometimes you think because I'm from that country, I was sad back then, and because I'm here, I'm more happy and life is better. But like in my country too, I was happy. My family was there and it was nice and sunny. But it's still nice to be here, but doesn't mean I'm more happy to be here than back then.
Don't mind somebody asking me where I'm from because it's just only they're asking where I'm from, so that's all. I don't get yeah. If I don't know, it's just don't conclude stuff before asking me. That's all.
Well, I don't have a problem because, like, I wasn't actually born in Jamaica. I was born in Canada. But most people think I'm born in Jamaica because I have the accent and everything. And I still like Jamaica, so I just tell people that I'm born in Jamaica when they ask me.
Straight up like. It makes it easier.
And it's because, like, all my family is born in Jamaica except me. But now I don't really care because, yeah, I'm basically Jamaican.
Actually, I like that question because it means that the person wants to know about you, about where you come from. Not even because you're black, you come from Africa or other things. Where are you from? Wait, the first time when somebody asked me, like, where are you from? Africa, I enter Africa. The person said, what Africa? Where in Africa? And I was really, I was happy. Like, really, I was happy. Like, I'm from Cameroon. Like, I know a country like near. The person take the Google map, show me the country. And I know that country. I was very happy.
And you guys all know my opinion about the question. But what I think came out of this, and what I heard mostly was not the question being the problem, the reaction being the problem. And I think that's what we need to turn around. I think stopping the question stops conversation, stops that discussion, that education. But what needs to stop is that reaction after it, that wow, that surprise, or that stereotypical images that comes out. So that's what I got, was not the question for most, but the reaction. That's the problem, and I think that's the real issue.